Long Beach, California. International Karate Academy. August 18, 1967. Thursday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. The California summer heat makes the air inside the dojo thick and heavy. 40 people fill the space, seated on wooden benches along the walls, forming a perfect square around the central tatami. There are no casual spectators here. Every person in this room is a serious martial artist. Masters of different styles, national tournament competitors, instructors who have devoted decades to the study of combat. They have come from all over the West Coast for this private demonstration, to see something that has been whispered about in closed circles for months. The effectiveness of Jeet Kune Do, the martial art that Bruce Lee is developing, a fighting philosophy that challenges everything traditional karate teaches. Joe Louis stands in the center of the tatami, 6 feet tall, 205 pounds of solid muscle, national karate champion, undefeated in full contact competition, winner of the U.S. National Karate Championship 3 years in a row, a fighter who has knocked out 17 opponents in official tournaments. His fists are famous, his kicks are legendary, but it is his clinch that makes him unbeatable. Joe Louis's clinch, the technique he perfected over years of brutal competition, the ability to seize an opponent, nullify his mobility, and destroy him with knees and elbows at close range. No one escapes Joe Louis's clinch. Once he grabs you, the fight is over. That's what everyone says. That's what Joe believes with absolute certainty. He is wearing a traditional white gi, black belt tied with military precision. His body is relaxed but ready, the posture of a man who has been in this position 1,000 times. He looks across the tatami at Bruce Lee. Bruce stands on the opposite side, 5'7", 135 pounds, wearing black pants and a sleeveless shirt that reveals arms carved with impossible definition. He doesn't look like a karate competitor. He looks small next to Joe Louis. The weight difference is 70 pounds. The reach difference is absurd, but there is something about Bruce Lee that makes the masters in the room lean forward. An intensity, a presence that does not match his physical size. This demonstration was arranged as a respectful challenge. Joe Louis had heard about Jeet Kune Do, Bruce's philosophy of formless combat, of adaptation, of using what works and discarding what doesn't. Joe respects Bruce as a teacher, but he is skeptical. In full contact karate, in the real world of bloody tournaments, pretty techniques don't matter. What matters is power, endurance, and physical control. The clinch. Joe has spent the last 5 years proving that the clinch is the ultimate answer to any stand-up fighting style. You can be fast, you can be technical, but when Joe grabs you, when he locks you against his body and starts working with knees and elbows, you lose. Always. 10 minutes earlier, during warm-up, Joe had been talking to one of the masters present, a Shotokan instructor from San Francisco. He was explaining his philosophy. The clinch is evolution, he said, his voice carrying the confidence of an undefeated champion. In traditional karate, everybody stays at range, trading blows, dancing. Beautiful for demonstrations, useless in real fights. In a real fight, you close the distance, you grab, you dominate. My clinch is the end of any confrontation. It doesn't matter how fast you are. It doesn't matter how many beautiful techniques you know. Once I grab you, it's over. Bruce Lee had been on the other side of the dojo, stretching, listening. He said nothing at that moment. He just listened. But something in his expression changed. A slight tilt of the head, a glint in the eyes, as if Joe had just said exactly what Bruce had been waiting to hear. Now, in the center of the tatami, with 40 witnesses watching in absolute silence, Joe Louis repeats the challenge, this time directly to Bruce. I'm going to show you, Bruce. I'm going to close the distance and put you in the clinch. And when I do, you'll understand why pretty techniques don't work against real control. My clinch is the end. It's the end of any strategy you have. Bruce doesn't answer right away. He simply looks at Joe, that intensity burning behind his eyes. Then he speaks, voice low but clear enough for the entire room to hear. Okay, Joe, try to put me in the clinch, but understand one thing. You're thinking in terms of where the fight ends. I'm thinking in terms of where the fight never begins. The Shotokan master who is refereeing the demonstration, a 60-year-old man who has witnessed thousands of confrontations, steps to the edge of the tatami. Gentlemen, he says, this is a technical demonstration. No full contact to the head, controlled contact to the body. The goal is to demonstrate effectiveness, not to cause injury. Both men nod in agreement. The room falls silent. There is no countdown, no formal signal, just the moment when both men decide to begin. Joe Louis moves first. He wastes no time with long-range techniques. Exactly what he said he would do. He advances directly, closing the 4 meters between them in 3 fast, heavy steps, arms already extending for the clinch, the technique he has executed hundreds of times in competition. The unbeatable technique. But something is wrong. When Joe is 2 meters away, Bruce is no longer where he should be. There is no dramatic movement, no leaping sidestep. Bruce simply isn't there anymore. He has slid laterally with a step so minimal, so precise, that it seems impossible he created enough distance. Joe adjusts, pivots his body, advances again. His hands reach for Bruce's GI, or at least where the GI should be. But Bruce has already moved again. A hip turn, an angular step. He is off the line of attack, out of clinch range, by mere centimeters. Joe Louis is not accustomed to chasing opponents. In his fights, opponents get caught, try to resist the clinch, and lose. But Bruce is not resisting. He is disappearing. 4 seconds have passed. Joe has made 3 attempts at the clinch. All have failed. Frustration begins to show on his face. He is the national champion. He is bigger, stronger, heavier. How is this smaller man evading the clinch with such tiny movements? It seems impossible. Joe changes strategy. He feints a straight right punch, trying to make Bruce retreat, then explodes forward, attempting to grab during the reaction. It's a trap that has worked against dozens of opponents. But Bruce does not retreat. Instead, he steps inside, toward the punch, not away from it. He is inside Joe's guard before the clinch can form. And then, before Joe can process what is happening, Bruce's left hand lightly touches the right side of Joe's neck. Not a strike, a touch. Light, controlled, precise. As if Bruce were saying, "I could have hit here, but I chose not to." Joe freezes. He understands what just happened. If this were a real fight, if Bruce had applied force to that touch, it would have been a strike to the carotid artery, to the jaw, to the vagus nerve. Instant knockout, or at least enough disorientation to finish the fight. Bruce slips away before Joe can react, sliding out of range again. 6 seconds. Joe takes a deep breath. His confidence is shaken, but not broken. He is a champion. He adapts. He will try again, this time with more caution, more control. He advances, testing distance with a low kick, then explodes toward the clinch again, using the kick as distraction. But Bruce is not there. And this time, when Joe extends his arms to grab empty air, Bruce's right foot appears from nowhere and touches, just touches, the side of Joe's thigh. The exact spot where a full power kick would cause temporary sciatic nerve paralysis. Joe's leg trembles, not from pain, because no force was applied, but from shock, because the timing was so perfect, so precise, that his body reacted instinctively. 7 seconds. 7 seconds since Joe Louis said his clinch was the end. 7 seconds since he advanced with all the confidence of an undefeated champion. And in 7 seconds, Bruce Lee touched 2 knockout points, evaded 5 clinch attempts, and made the whole thing look easy. Natural, as though Joe were moving in slow motion. The Shotokan master raises his hand. "Stop," he says. Both fighters return to their starting positions. The room is dead silent. All 40 masters and practitioners present have just witnessed something that defies their understanding of combat. Joe Louis, the undefeated national champion, the man with the unbeatable clinch, did not manage to touch Bruce Lee. Not once. Not in 7 seconds. And Bruce, in contrast, marked 2 knockout points with controlled touches that demonstrated total mastery of distance, timing, and precision. Joe Louis stands in the center of the tatami, breathing heavily. Not from physical exhaustion, from mental shock. His certainty, the philosophy he built over years of brutal victories, has just crumbled. He looks at Bruce with an expression that mixes disbelief and something close to reverence. "How?" His voice comes out quieter than he intended. "How did you do that? I couldn't even touch you." Bruce walks up to Joe. No arrogance, no celebration. His expression is serious, respectful. "Joe," he says, "your clinch is devastating. If you had grabbed me, I would have been in serious trouble. You're right about that. But you're thinking about the fight from the inside out. You're thinking, what do I do once I grab my opponent? I'm thinking, how do I make sure you never grab me? Your clinch isn't the end, Joe. It's the middle, and every middle has a beginning. If I control the beginning, the middle never happens." Joe is silent, processing. Bruce continues. "You move in straight lines. Straight lines are power, speed, efficiency. But straight lines are predictable. I don't run away from your straight lines. I step out of them by millimeters, just enough. And while you're committed to the straight line, while your momentum is going forward, I'm lateral. I'm at an angle. I'm where you can't reach me, but I can reach you. Distance isn't about meters, Joe. It's about control. It's about who decides when and where contact happens. Joe nods slowly. His entire philosophy of fighting, the entire mental framework he built, is being dismantled in real time. But he is not angry. He is fascinated. That's the opposite of everything I've been taught, he says. In full contact karate, we learn to pressure, to dominate, to control through force. Bruce nods. And that works against 99% of opponents, because 99% of people fight on the same line as you. They accept your fighting structure. They try to win inside the rules you set. But what if someone doesn't accept your rules? What if someone fights in a completely different structure? What if someone turns combat into something that has no fixed form? The Shotokan master steps closer. He has seen enough. Gentlemen, he says, that was an extraordinary demonstration. Mr. Lewis, your technique is impeccable within your system. Mr. Lee, your Jeet Kune Do demonstrated effectiveness against a championship-level opponent. Both deserve respect. Joe extends his hand to Bruce. Bruce shakes it. You taught me something today, Joe says, his voice carrying genuine humility. I thought I had all the answers. I thought my clinch was the final solution. Bruce smiles, a small but warm smile. Your clinch is brilliant, Joe. But the moment you believe you have the final solution, you stop evolving. The moment you say this is the end, you create a limit for yourself. There is no end in combat, only continuous adaptation. The demonstration ends. The 40 masters in the room erupt into discussion. Some are excited, some confused, some defensive. What they just witnessed challenges decades of traditional training. Joe Lewis steps off the tatami, and for the first time in years, he is not absolutely certain about his approach to fighting. But that does not leave him defeated. It leaves him inspired, because a true champion is not someone who never loses. It is someone who learns from every encounter. Bruce Lee spends the next 30 minutes answering questions from the masters present, explaining principles of Jeet Kune Do, demonstrating concepts of interception, centerline control, economy of motion. And Joe Lewis sits in a corner of the dojo, watching, absorbing. 3 months later, Joe will seek out Bruce and ask to become his student. He will study Jeet Kune Do for 2 years. He will integrate Bruce's principles into his own karate. And he will continue winning championships, but now with a deeper understanding of combat. An understanding that does not come from force or isolated technique, but from adaptability, from fluidity, from controlling what happens before the fight even becomes physical. But on that day, that August afternoon in Long Beach, what matters are 7 seconds. 7 seconds that destroyed a certainty and built a new understanding. 7 seconds that showed 40 masters that combat is not about having the definitive technique. It is about understanding that there is no definitive technique, only context, only timing, only adaptation. Joe Lewis stepped onto the tatami saying his clinch was the end. He stepped off the tatami understanding that in real combat, there is no end, only constant transformation.